Crono!
Crono bolted upright in his bed, his breath coming in short gasps. His mind was still reeling from the vivid nightmare that had just shaken him awake. A vision of the world ending, consumed by fire and darkness. Just then, the door to his room creaked open, and his mother poked her head in, a warm smile on her face.
Crono, it's time to get up. You don't want to be late for the Millenial Fair, do you?
Her voice, along with the gentle purring of his cat as it jumped onto his bed, quickly dispelled the lingering fear from his dream. The nightmare was fading fast, replaced by a bubbling excitement. Today was the day he'd been waiting for. The Millenial Fair, a celebration unlike any other. Living in Truce Town, Crono knew the importance of being prepared. Before heading out, he grabbed his sword, a constant reminder of the need to be stronger and to defend himself from the occasional thieves or even monsters that roamed these times. The sounds and sights of the Millenial Fair grew louder and more vibrant with each step. Balloons in every hue dotted the sky, bobbing gently above the crowds, adding to the festive atmosphere. Leene Square, the heart of the city, had been transformed into a grand fairground. Tents of all shapes and sizes lined the square, each one offering a different delight. Games of skill and chance, merchants selling exotic goods, and entertainers performing tricks that dazzled and amazed. Crono took it all in with wide eyes, a grin spreading across his face. The fair was everything he had imagined and more, a place where the worries of the world seemed to melt away, replaced by the simple joys of celebration and camaraderie. Crono's pace quickened, almost breaking into a run as he eagerly sought out all the wonders the fair had to offer. The sights, sounds, and smells overwhelmed his senses, and he found himself lost in the thrill of the moment, hardly noticing where he was going. Suddenly, without warning, he collided with something, or rather, someone. The impact was so sudden and forceful that it sent both of them tumbling to the ground. Crono's vision blurred for a moment as he landed on the cobblestones. Embarrassment washed over him as he realized the girl was strikingly beautiful. Her wide, surprised eyes met his for a brief moment, and his heart skipped a beat. Before he could even muster an apology, Crono found himself fumbling on the ground, desperately searching for the pendant that had been knocked loose. He glanced up at her, hoping she wasn't too upset, but her expression was more of surprise than anger. Crono's fingers finally brushed against something metallic, and he grasped the pendant, holding it up with a relieved smile. Crono handed the pendant back to the girl, who smiled brightly.
Oh, thank goodness, my pendant. It has a lot of sentimental value.
Crono blushed slightly, still a bit flustered by their collision, but managed to introduce himself in return.
Nice to meet you, Crono. How about we enjoy the fair together?
Marle suggested, her enthusiasm infectious. With a nod, Crono agreed, and the two set off to explore the festival. Their first stop was at a tent where a boisterous vendor was challenging passers-by to a test of speed and endurance, drinking soda faster than he could.
Think you can beat me, kid?
The crowd around them cheered as Crono stepped up, ready to take on the challenge. The vendor grinned, handing Crono a frosty bottle of soda. The crowd roared as he managed to finish his bottle just a split second before the vendor, who laughed heartily and clapped him on the back.
Well done! Enjoy the fair. You've earned it.
Next, they found themselves at the starting line of a competitive race around the square. The participants were an unusual mix: a soldier in full armor, a muscular gladiator, a scaly reptile creature, and, amusingly, a small, sleek cat. Marle and Crono placed their bets, laughing at the absurdity of it all. They continued walking around to enjoy the festival, and ended up in a small, secluded square they hadn't noticed before. In the center of the square stood an enormous red robot, shaped like a cat, its mechanical body gleaming in the sunlight. And as they approached cautiously, the robot suddenly sprang to life. Marle gasped in surprise. Crono instinctively reached for his sword, adrenaline surging as he prepared to defend both himself and Marle against this unexpected threat. After a tense battle, Crono's sword struck the final blow, and the strange robot cat sputtered before collapsing in a heap of gears and metal. Marle's eyes lit up with delight, and she laughed, nudging Crono playfully. As they celebrated his victory, they noticed a group of people hurrying by, excitedly chattering about the new inventions that Luca and her father had brought to the fair. Marle's eyes widened with excitement, and she grabbed Crono's hand, pulling him along as they rushed to catch the show. As they weaved through the crowd, Crono's stomach growled loudly. He glanced around, spotting a stall nearby with a freshly roasted chicken, golden and ready to be served. Seeing that no one was nearby, Crono hesitated for a moment, then quickly snatched a slice of the chicken. Crono and Marle finally reached a small square tucked away from the main festivities, where an unusual sight awaited them. Standing in the center of the square were two large man-sized machines, unlike anything Crono had ever seen before. At the front stood Taban, beaming with pride, his voice booming as he addressed the onlookers.
Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to introduce you to the marvel of the century, the Super Dimension Warp.
Taban announced with a flourish.
This machine can teleport a person from one pod to another in the blink of an eye. It's a miracle of engineering and will change the way we think about travel forever.
The crowd gasped in unison, their expressions shifting from curiosity to outright fear. Despite Taban's enthusiasm, no one dared step forward to try the machine. Just then, Luca spotted Crono and waved excitedly.
Crono, you're just in time. Would you like to be the first to try the Super Dimension Warp?
Crono hesitated for a moment, feeling the weight of the crowd's eyes on him. But the look of eager anticipation on Luca's face, coupled with Marle's encouraging smile, gave him the push he needed.
Just step inside, Crono.
The crowd murmured in awe as Crono approached the left pod. Taban and Luca quickly went to work, adjusting dials, pressing buttons, and pulling levers. The machines hummed to life, emitting a low mechanical whir that sent a shiver down Crono's spine. He felt a strange tingling sensation as blue light began to swirl around him. For a moment, he felt lighter, almost as if he were floating. Then, with a sudden zap, everything went dark for a split second. When Crono opened his eyes, he found himself standing in the right pod. The crowd erupted in cheers, amazed by what they had just witnessed. Marle, wide-eyed with excitement, pushed her way to the front of the crowd.
Wow, that was incredible. Please, Luca, can I try it next?
She asked eagerly, already stepping towards the machine.
Of course, Marle. Just step into the pod, and we'll get everything ready for you.
Panic swept through the crowd, but before anyone could react, Taban stepped forward, his voice strained with urgency.
Everyone, please leave the area. The show is over for now.
Crono stood frozen, his mind racing. Where had Marle gone? What had happened? Luca frantically scanned the machine's controls, her fingers flying over the buttons and levers as she tried to make sense of the readings.
Where did she go? What happened?
I don't know. Everything was working fine, but her pendant, it overheated the telepod. Something about it. It reacted with the machine in a way I've never seen before.
Crono's heart pounded in his chest. Marle was gone, teleported to who knows where, and they had no idea how to bring her back.
We don't have time to figure this out. We have to get her back, and the only way we might be able to do that is by sending someone after her. Crono, you might be her only hope.
Crono didn't hesitate, stepping forward. He couldn't leave Marle stranded wherever she was. She had trusted him, and now she needed him.
Crono, I don't know where this will take you, but you have to find her. We'll do everything we can to bring you both back, but be careful.